we have Miss Tiki Hunt from the, let me go in the order of the screen. Miss Yolanda West Calvin from the Arkansas Department of Health. Yesterday, I'm gonna crack a joke on her. Yesterday, she was about to have a panic attack. I said, "It's a bunch of therapists on this line. If we got to have you breathe in the flowers and blow out the candles, we will." But she's fine today, hopefully. Received high marks yesterday. Tiki Hunt from the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff 4-H, and Dr. Stacy, I call her Dr. Stacy, Dr. Stacy N. Peoples from St. Louis, Missouri. Panelist, Reverend Joyner, you have the floor.
Good morning again. Question number one. How are organizations who will be successful post-COVID-19 redistributing, evaluating, and formulating to execute plans to meet the safety needs and to accommodate new ways of working for their staff and clients? Ms. Calvin, will you begin, please?
Good morning. Of course, we would start with the question that I was still thinking on. So, I am a employee with the Infectious Disease Division, public health educator for Department of Health, HIV. So my thoughts are that in order for an organization to remain successful post-COVID, is again, we have to meet people where they are. We have to, as far as Department of Health, we're looking at new ways of performing rapid HIV testing. One of the things that we did is in counseling, we have to be empathetic and meet people, understand where they are in the decisions that they've made thus far, and help them in changing or assisting them in changing behaviors. So with that, we are looking at how can we still provide that needed resource, that needed empathy, that needed behavior change assistance, but do it in the new form and still maintain social distancing and things of that nature. We're also looking at doing more online programs that will allow us to reach more people and not put those that are high risk at risk of being infected by individuals that are asymptomatic. We're also looking at if they are having, in Arkansas, we are moving to phase 2, which would allow people to have larger gatherings. So in order for us to approve sponsorships of those type of programs, you have to submit floor plans to make sure that you are approved for that space, and as well as have face masks, hand sanitizer, and things of that nature on hand for staff as well as participants.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hunt, will you respond, please?
Good morning. And please forgive me if it goes in and out. I'm having serious connection problems here. But
If she starts to have connection problems, move on to the other speaker and let them go, and we'll kind of like double dutch.
Okay. Ms. Hunt, we'll come back. Dr. Stacy, will you give us your response, please?
Yes. Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Stacy, and my background is in social work and public policy. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and my PhD is public policy analysis and administration. So for me, it's basically about policy, creating a policy that is going to be effective, and you do that by looking at your target population, seeing what they need, evaluating those needs, and putting a policy in place that will meet those needs. And right now, with the new normal and the social distancing, is going to be focusing on that. Are you requiring masks? You know, what is your policy in terms of that? And then just putting a policy in writing so everybody knows it, have it posted on your social media, on your websites, have it posted physically in your space so that people ensure a sense of safety and security. My business is all online, so I don't really have to worry about that. But for those, you know, who see people in person, kind of letting them know what the policy is now and what it will be moving forward as we move into the different phases.
Thank you very much. Uh, is Ms. Hunt back with us?
No, she
Yeah.
hasn't made it back.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
Right,
Ms.
so
Hunt, I'll
in
repeat the question
oh, you don't have
for
to
you.
repeat it. I-
Okay, well,
Yeah.
will you go ahead
So
and respond?
so in extension, how we're redistributing and expanding and changing what we're doing to meet the needs during COVID. All our programs had to go online. There are no 4-H or extension programs face-to-face throughout the summer.
Okay.
Just keep going.
Okay. Question number 2.
All right. Can you hear me?
Oh,
All right. Also, and this is nationwide, not just with you at TB4H. This is nationwide throughout Extension. We don't have any programs for the summer. There's online Zoom workshops, trainings, all of those things have gone online. We have some people that are doing packets and taking to food distribution sites, and so sending those home with the kids in that way. And also National 4-H Council has had a national fundraiser so they can provide additional funds to the 4-H programs nationwide to distribute, to use as needed to make adjustments because of the new way we're having to do things, whether they have to make.
thank you very much for your responses on question 1. Question number 2. What are some misconceptions you have found that people have about organizations meeting community needs, and how do you combat them? Ms. Calvin?
Okay, so just recently, our organization learned that there were some organizations that we fund that were not doing the scope of work that to meet the needs of the community. So after learning of that, we first addressed, we're going to first address the current organization to see if they, to get an understanding of whether or not they will be able to increase their scope, or would they need to have another community organization to meet them that does the same scope of work, but to just offer it in offer it more in that community so that we can meet the need of that community.
Thank you. Ms. Hunt, will you respond?
Go to the next speaker, please.
Okay. Here I
Oh,
am.
no, there she is.
So, could you repeat that one? It was going in and out that time.
Okay. The question is, What are some misconceptions you have found that people have about organizations meeting community needs, and how do you combat them?
We may have to move her to a different, we may have to move her to a different panel until she gets her internet situated. Dr.
Okay,
Stacy.
Dr. Stacy?
Yes. Okay. So I am in mental health. I'm in private practice. So for me, I think one of the biggest barriers we have is just the stigma around mental health and using the services. And then specifically in the Black community, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is therapy is for white people. So we kind of have to get over that hurdle. We have to normalize it. We also have to get past, historically in the Black communities, there's a mistrust of the healthcare system in general. And of course, we have reasons for that, the Tuskegee experiment, Henrietta Lacks. So it is founded in reality. But for me, I just try to normalize things by posting on my social media. I respect people and I come to them of a place of being non-judgmental, letting them know this is about you. We're only going to talk about and discuss things that you want to talk about. And this is to help you become a better person and get to where you need to be.
Thank you very much. Question number 3. What creative ways can you incorporate to enhance the education process to improve it even better than it has always been? Ms. Calvin?
I would like to start out by advocating for panel number 3. As y'all can see, we're getting a little technical difficulties with Ms. Ward, and we're still flowing. So Dr. Peebles and we have a lot of information that you all can get. So I know
Boy, it's some competition today. They are competitive.
But number 3 is where it will be. So come on over to number 3, Dr. Stacy, and I got you. So as far as incorporating educational process, I'm not an educator in the traditional sense as that I'm not in a school, but I am an educator of public health as it relates to HIV, STDs, and Hep C. So from my perspective, it would benefit our state and residents tremendously to have comprehensive sexual education in school. Not just what they have now where they talk about reproductive health, but where we actually talk about sexual health and how to remain healthy. We are sexual beings. So whether we're doing it in the sense of marriage or if we're doing it just because we're curious, we're going to have sex. So that is something that we need to have in our educational systems. Now, I cannot convince or lobby or get it done but guess what? You as a community member, you can. So get into the ears of your superintendents of the schools, into your school boards, the different wards, your community councils, your legislatures to get this changed. It is imperative that we get comprehensive sexual education in the school systems of Arkansas. Remember that a good sexual education program is just as good as a core curriculum class. You never know what may spark a person's interest in the next doctor of public health you'll get out of getting comprehensive sexual education in schools. Again, session or panel 3 is where you want to be.
Thank you. Dr. Stacy.
Okay. All right. So yeah, panel 3 is where you want to be because we're ready. So what I would say, okay, as a social worker, therapist, policy professional, I do consider myself an educator. You are disseminating information, resources you're giving people tools to overcome problematic situations. So I think one of the things in terms of like workshops and seminars, we do what we're doing now. We do it online, make it available. I like that it's streaming live on Facebook. And then as a therapist, again, I mentioned my private practice is 100% telehealth. So I do video, I do phone, I do texting by therapy. And then also just knowing, again, your target audience, being able to relate to their issues and concerns. Sometimes that means being in touch with the popular culture, music, movies, etc. And then lastly, just being teachable, understanding and knowing that you do not always have to be the expert and that you can always learn something from the people that you're working with as well.
Thank you very much. And the last question, question number 4. How has the Black Lives Matter movement on a global platform made an impact in your field, and how do you plan to use your voice?
I am going to have to, oh, did you say me, Reverend Joyner?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Calvin.
Okay. I'm going to have to go back to panel 2 and steal some words from Miss Edwards, but I actually used them on yesterday, which is I am the Black Lives Matter movement. I am the voice. I started about almost 15 years ago working in HIV. And when I realized the way that HIV disproportionately affects African Americans, whether it is males, gay, lesbian, straight, or females, I began using my voice then. I do think that the Black Lives Matter movement will allow us to get more education out and more people will be more receptive, especially in our communities. We are starting to lay down a lot of, or lay aside a lot of stigma and barriers as it relates to Black lives because of the movement. So hopefully with those things being laid down, we can get more education in there and get the Black lives, people in the Black Lives Matter movement to push the agenda of HIV education and prevention along with it. Thank you. Don't forget, panel number 3.
Dr. Stacy.
Okay, well, for me, first of all, if y'all can see, I got my Black Lives Matter earrings on. So I'm always a spokesperson for the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, I may be Dr. Stacy, but the world doesn't see me as that. They see me as a Black woman, a Black girl. So in everything that I do, it is in the forefront. It always has been. That was my reason for going into social work, for going into public policy. A lot of the programs and services are geared to the African American community, but historically, when I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of people working in those positions. So that's the first way that I use my voice, just to get into the profession and speak up and do what I can do. I'm in St. Louis, so back in 2014, we had the Mike Brown situation. I was out there in the protest. I'm not out there this year because we're dealing with the Rona, the COVID-19, and I'm staying in the house, but I am posting on social media, making videos, and doing whatever I can do to be out there and have my voice be heard.
Thank you. Now we're back in the hands of our host.
Listen, panel 1 came with it, panel 2 came with it, panel 3 came with it. So listen, you have a choice to make. They pulling, they want you to come to their panels. Do you want to go hear more from panel 1? Do you want to go hear more from panel 2? Or do you want to go hear more from panel 3? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Now, while we're waiting, I got 3 door prizes to give away today. Let's see here. Ms. Ruth Fizzle, I need you to inbox or put in the chat a private message to Reverend Marquise Cooper. He has a book, and that's your door prize. Congratulations. Reverend Cooper, can you jump on and tell us a little bit about your book and the name of it? Is he on here? Give us about